You know what nobody tells you about success? It is not your competition that is killing it. It is not the economy. It is not bad luck or bad timing or the fact that you were not born into the right family. It is something way closer. Something you carry with you everywhere. Something Carl Jung spent his entire career trying to get people to see. Your shadow. That part of you that you have been ignoring, denying, pushing down, pretending does not exist. And here is the kicker. The more you avoid it, the more control it has over your life. Let me say that again because this is critical. The thing you refuse to look at is the thing running the show. You wonder why you self-sabotage right before a breakthrough. You wonder why you keep choosing the wrong relationships. You wonder why you start strong and quit halfway. You wonder why success feels like it is always just out of reach. Shadow, shadow, shadow. And until you face it, until you do the work Jung called shadow work, you are going to keep repeating the same painful cycles while wondering why nothing ever changes. Today we are talking about the one thing that is killing your success. Not your skills, not your network, not your resume. Your refusal to meet the parts of yourself you have been hiding from, and I am going to show you exactly what that looks like and how to fix it. Let me start with a question. Have you ever noticed that the people who annoy you the most all share something in common? Maybe they are arrogant, maybe they are lazy, maybe they are always playing the victim, and you look at them and think, I would never be like that. I am nothing like that. Sound familiar? Here is what Jung discovered. The traits you despise most in other people are almost always the traits you have buried in yourself. Not because you are secretly a terrible person, but because at some point, probably when you were young, you decided those traits were unacceptable. Maybe your parents shamed you for being too loud. Maybe your friends mocked you for being sensitive. Maybe society told you that wanting attention was selfish or that being angry was wrong, so you buried it. You shoved it into the basement of your psyche and locked the door. That basement, that is your shadow, and here is the problem. It does not stay locked, it leaks out. It shows up in your reactions, your triggers, your inexplicable self-sabotage. It controls you precisely because you refuse to acknowledge it. Let me give you an example. Think about someone like Kanye West. Love him or hate him, the man is a walking case study in shadow work gone wrong. Massive talent, undeniable creativity, but watch what happens when the shadow takes over. The ego inflation, the public meltdowns, the self-destruction right at the peak of success. Why? Because the parts of himself he refuses to integrate keep erupting in ways he cannot control. That is what happens when you ignore the shadow. It does not disappear. It takes the wheel. Now, before you think this does not apply to you, let me ask you something else. Have you ever been on the verge of success and then done something stupid to ruin it? Picked a fight with your boss right before a promotion. Missed a critical deadline on a project you actually cared about. Started a relationship and then sabotaged it the moment it got serious. You look back and think, why did I do that? I knew better. That was not you. That was your shadow. See, your shadow does not want you to succeed if success means becoming someone different from who you believe you are allowed to be. If deep down you believe you are not worthy of love, your shadow will make sure every relationship confirms that belief. If you secretly think you are a fraud, your shadow will sabotage you right before you prove otherwise. It is not trying to hurt you. It is trying to keep you safe by keeping you small, by keeping you in the identity you know, even if that identity is painful. This is the part most self-help gurus will not tell you. Positive thinking does not work if your shadow disagrees. Affirmations do not work if your unconscious is screaming the opposite. You can visualize success all day long, but if you have not dealt with the part of you that believes you do not deserve it, you are just setting yourself up for another round of self-sabotage. So how do you do shadow work? How do you face the thing that has been killing your success? Step 1. Get brutally honest about what triggers you. And I mean brutally. Start paying attention to your reactions. When do you get defensive? When do you get angry? When do you feel that hot flash of shame or that cold wave of resentment? Those moments are gold. They are not random. They are your shadow waving a flag saying, look here, there is something you have not integrated. Let me give you a real-world scenario. Say you are scrolling social media and you see someone your age who just bought a house, got promoted, launched a business, whatever. And instead of feeling happy for them, you feel this weird mix of jealousy and contempt. You start finding reasons why they do not deserve it. Oh, they probably had help. Oh, their content is not even that good. Oh, they are just lucky. Stop right there. That reaction is not about them. That is your shadow. What you are really saying is, I do not believe I can have that. And instead of facing that painful belief, you are projecting it onto them. You are making them the problem so you do not have to look at your own fear of inadequacy. Here is the funny truth. The more you judge, the more you reveal. Jung said it best. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Translation: your haters are your teachers. The people who annoy you are showing you exactly what you have disowned. Step 2. Own it. This is the hard part. This is where most people bail. Because owning your shadow means admitting things you have spent years denying. It means saying, okay, maybe I am arrogant sometimes. Maybe I do play the victim. Maybe I am lazy in certain areas. Maybe I do crave attention. Maybe I am selfish. Maybe I am afraid, and your ego hates this. Your ego wants to be the hero. It wants to be right, good, acceptable. But your shadow does not care about being acceptable. It just wants to be seen. And until you see it, until you acknowledge it without judgment, it will keep controlling you from the background. Let me tell you about someone who did this work. Mike Tyson. Here is a guy who had everything. Youngest heavyweight champion ever. Millions of dollars, fame beyond measure, and he lost it all. Went to prison, became a cautionary tale. But here is what is interesting. Later in life, Tyson started doing the inner work. He started facing his shadow, the rage, the violence, the fear underneath all that aggression, and he owned it. He stopped pretending to be someone he was not. He integrated those parts. And you know what happened? He became whole, not perfect. Whole, he found peace. He found purpose. He found a version of success that did not require him to destroy himself to maintain it. That is what shadow work does. It does not make you a saint. It makes you integrated. It makes you real. It makes you someone who can actually sustain success because you are not at war with yourself anymore. Step 3. Stop projecting. This is where your relationships transform, because here is what projection does. It makes you see the world through the lens of your unresolved issues. You meet someone new, and instead of seeing them, you see your ex. You start a job, and instead of engaging with your actual boss, you are reacting to your critical father. You are not living in reality. You are living in a psychological hall of mirrors where everyone reflects back the parts of yourself you have not dealt with. And this kills your success because you cannot build anything real on top of projection. You cannot have genuine relationships. You cannot make clear decisions. You cannot see opportunities because you are too busy reacting to ghosts. Here is a simple practice. Next time someone pisses you off, pause, do not react. Ask yourself, what is this bringing up in me? What am I seeing in them that I refuse to see in myself? Is my reaction proportional to what actually happened, or am I being triggered by something older, something deeper? Try this tomorrow. Seriously, someone cuts you off in traffic. Someone is rude at the coffee shop. Someone on your team drops the ball. Instead of immediately blaming them, get curious about your reaction. Why does this bother me so much? What does this say about me? Remember, the external world is not the problem. Your unintegrated internal world is. Step 4. Embrace the disowned parts. This is where the magic happens. Because once you stop fighting your shadow, once you stop trying to be perfect, you get access to all that energy you have been using to maintain the act. You get access to your full self. The good, the bad, the messy, the contradictory. And ironically, that is when you become most effective. Because here is what nobody tells you. Your shadow is not just the bad stuff. It also contains your power. The parts of you that you were told were too much. Too loud, too ambitious. Too creative, too different. You buried those two because they did not fit the acceptable image. And now you wonder why you feel stuck. Because you locked away your aliveness to be palatable. Think about someone like Lady Gaga. Early in her career, she was told to tone it down. Be normal, be marketable. And if she had listened, if she had kept her shadow locked away, we would have never gotten Lady Gaga. We would have gotten another generic pop star. But she embraced the weird. She embraced the excessive. She embraced the parts that made her different. And that is what made her successful, not despite her shadow. Because of it, step 5, do the daily work. Shadow work is not a one-time event. It is a practice. Every day you are going to encounter triggers. Every day you are going to project. Every day you are going to be tempted to go back to sleep, to pretend you have it all figured out, to avoid the uncomfortable truth that you are still a work in progress. And that is okay. Jung said individuation, the process of becoming whole, is the work of a lifetime. You are not going to finish it. You are just going to get better at it. You are going to get faster at catching yourself. You are going to get more honest about what you are avoiding. You are going to get more comfortable with the discomfort. Here is your daily practice. End each day with one question. What did I avoid looking at today? Where did I project? Where did I judge? Where did I sabotage? Where did my shadow show up and I pretended not to notice? Write it down, not to beat yourself up, to become aware. Because awareness is the first step toward integration. Let me tell you what changes when you do this work. You stop being a victim of your own unconscious. You stop repeating the same self-destructive patterns. You stop wondering why success keeps slipping through your fingers. Because you are no longer at war with yourself. You are no longer using half your energy to maintain an image and the other half to suppress the truth. You become whole. You become integrated. You become someone who can actually handle success because you are not secretly trying to prove you do not deserve it. And here is the beautiful part. When you integrate your shadow, when you own all of who you are, you stop needing external validation. You stop performing. You stop pretending. You just show up as yourself. Flawed, messy, contradictory, real, and that authenticity is magnetic. People feel it. Opportunities come to it. Success becomes sustainable because it is built on truth instead of repression. So here is my challenge to you. Stop blaming your circumstances. Stop waiting for the perfect strategy. Stop looking for the next hack or shortcut. Do the one thing most people will never do. Face your shadow. Look at the parts of yourself you have been avoiding. Own them. Integrate them. And watch what happens when you stop fighting yourself and start working with your whole psyche. Because the truth Jung tried to tell us is this. You do not need to be perfect to succeed. You need to be whole. And wholeness only comes when you stop rejecting the parts of yourself that make you uncomfortable. When you bring the shadow into the light. When you stop pretending and start integrating. That is the work. That is what transforms your life. Not more hustle, not more tactics. Shadow work. The willingness to meet yourself fully, honestly, without judgment. To see what you have been avoiding and say, okay, this is part of me too. And instead of running from it, instead of burying it deeper, you bring it into consciousness. You give it a seat at the table. You stop letting it control you from the basement, and you integrate it into who you are becoming. This is not easy work. It is not sexy. It is not going to trend on social media. But it is the only work that actually changes anything. Because you can have all the goals, all the plans, all the motivation in the world. But if your shadow disagrees, if the unconscious parts of you are working against your conscious intentions, you are done before you start. So do the work, face the shadow, own what you have been denying, and become the integrated, whole, powerful person you were always meant to be, not perfect, real, and that is more than enough.